This is Rocket Man Mike, 6'3", coming at you from Houston, Texas, as always. Welcome to my blog. Thank you for listening, giving me your attention. Hope you enjoy the topic. To be honest with you, I'm kind of searching around in my head, trying to figure out what it is we're going to talk about today. But I guess a good topic would be something that I'm kind of on my mind right now. Death and dying. Yeah. When to let go. When to let a loved one go. You know, in my career, with everything that I've done, Marine Corps, police officer, now I'm a nurse, now I'm a blogger. But with all seriousness, I've seen a lot of death. I really have. And I'm not saying it to be macho, and I'm not saying it, you know, I'm not waving the look at me sign. Look at me, I've seen death. I'm a badass. I'm awesome. It's not what I'm doing. I'm just simply stating I've seen a lot of death. And I've seen dirty death, I've seen clean death, I've seen death in all its form. And what I mean by dirty and clean is I've seen people die on the street, I've seen people die in car crashes, I've seen people shot, I've seen people beat up, mangled, mutilated. And on the opposite end, as a nurse, I've seen people in the ER, I've seen people die in the ICU, on med-surg, I've seen people die after surgery, I've seen people die suddenly. My father died suddenly after surgery. So I call those clean deaths because, you know, it's in a sterile environment like the hospital. And it's almost an expectation of what, you know, is going on at the time, or at least a risk anyway. But no matter how you put it, whether it's a clean death in a hospital or a dirty death outside in the front yard, death is not pretty. Death is agony. Death is loss. It's the ultimate defeat. That's why nobody likes to think about it. That's why everybody tries so hard to beat it. Nobody wants to die, of course. Even people that have miserable lives really don't want to die. And the rich definitely don't want to die. That's why they fight so hard to stay alive. You know, and until we figure out the riddle of life and why it is that we are here, we're all going to be afraid of death, and none of us are going to want to go through it, obviously. But the question is, when do we let go? When do we say enough is enough? Mom is sick in the hospital, grandma, grandpa, dad, you know, and with today's advances in medical science, we can keep people alive a long time, even when maybe they should not be alive. And sometimes we run into the dilemma that the family just doesn't want to let go. They want to do everything, even though the patient is literally rotting in bed. Limbs are falling off, literally. Skin is falling off, literally. They're in a consistent vegetative state. They don't respond to any sort of stimuli whatsoever. They're just there, existence. And I don't understand why anybody would want to do that to their loved one. It just does not make sense. Nobody wants to see a loved one hurt. That I can understand. I get that. So if you don't want to see your loved one hurt, then why the hell would you take a 75-year-old male with end-stage Alzheimer's, so advanced he can't eat, he shits himself, he pisses himself, he can't get out of bed, he doesn't know who he is, where he is, or what's going on. So why put a tube to feed him? Why put a tube to drain his urine? Why wipe his ass 7 times a day? Why do all that? They get bed sores because they can't get out of the bed, and then you got these families out there that bitch, well, they only have bed sores because the patient's not being turned every 2 hours. And let me tell you guys something. That is bullshit, man. Lay in bed and turn yourself every 2 hours and lay there for a couple years and tell me you're not going to get a bed sore somewhere. And then you add poor nutrition and poor health in the mix, fragile skin and old age, you're going to get skin breakdown, even under the best of circumstances. So family, pull your head out of your butt and understand skin breakdown is going to occur. So now you got somebody rotting to death in a bed with sores all over their body, being fed through a tube, being kept alive unnecessarily, and the family comes in and pretends like they love this person. And I'm pretty sure they do, but I don't understand how somebody can get so misguided so quickly in a situation. Denial is such a powerful thing that I see. I would never do that to my loved one. That's suffering. You know, people, when your grandma is 95, just because she can go to Walmart every day and get her shopping done all by herself, doesn't mean that because she gets pneumonia and she winds up in the hospital that it's anybody's fault. But old age and sickness, I mean, you get families that they come in, and I see this a lot, man. Oh, well, the hospital must have done something. Grandma was up and walking and going to Walmart just fine a couple days ago, and now look at her. You know, she came into the hospital with a headache, and now she's got pneumonia, and she's on a ventilator, and they're telling us that we need to pull the plug. Well, we're not going to. It must be the hospital's fault. They must have done something. And then, of course, they run to their lawyer, and they want to sue the hospital or the doctor or go after the nursing staff who are doing everything they can because grandma at the age of 95 got sick and died. You know, they act like she was getting ready to go fucking try out for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as a wide receiver, or she was going to go play freaking professional soccer in the next year or two, and they forget that she's 95, and death is usually just around the corner when you're 95. It's a completely natural process, but it becomes unnatural whenever people, usually uneducated, don't understand the consequences of the illness that they're dealing with. Until we find a cure for old age, everyone's going to die. And the march to death can be quick and easy, or it can be slow and painful. And I don't know about you people, but I want mine quick and easy. Slow and painful makes no sense. The assisted suicide argument often comes up. People that know they have cancer end stage, they don't want to die a horrible death with pain and their bones aching so much it feels like it's cracking, losing all their freaking skin cells and hair cells and all the other fast reproducing cells due to chemo and radiology and getting all these different, you know, secondary infections because their immune system's so compromised. Why go through that when you could just take a concoction at your time and at your choice and let yourself go? And don't even think about adding religion to the argument, because that is not what I'm talking about. And until I see God or Jesus step into a patient's room and actually ease their suffering, that is just not even an option. And if people that say, well, God, it's against God's will to do assisted suicide, or it's against God's will to kill yourself, you need to go on His time. I mean, really, people, come on. Those are the people that you need to take to the local medical ICU ward and let them watch people die all day, every day, because it's not fun. It's an ugly process. You know, aging itself is all about loss. You know, as you grow older, it's just a continual, let me rephrase that. As you grow older, it's just a continuum of loss. You know, as you grow older, you're going to lose your kids, you're going to lose your health, you know, possibly lose your money, lose your job. As you get older, everything that you get used to, you lose, and then you have to adjust and adapt and adjust and adapt. And then towards the end, usually you get sick and die. All right, so why not make it easier on yourself in your life and decide, you know what, if I can help it because sometimes you can't, but if I can help it, I am not going to have a slow dying illness. Once I get that terminal diagnosis, I'm going to choose my death, and I'm going to leave this world with some dignity, so that the last memory my kids and my grandkids have isn't of me shitting in a diaper with no legs, calling everybody Ethel when I don't even know an Ethel, not being able to eat, skin and bones with bed sores. Why go out that way? No reason to. Give me a shot of potassium chloride and give me some morphine to chase it, and just let me check out on my own terms. Doesn't sound like a bad death to me. I think I would do the morphine first, though. So yeah, people, man, I see this all the time. This isn't something that I think we can pass laws against, but the only thing I can, if I can give any advice out there in my 20 years of nursing, hey man, get yourself an advance directive in place. Make sure your family knows what your wishes are, and put somebody responsible in charge that's going to make responsible decisions concerning your life and your health. And to all you pieces of shit out there, and you know who you are, that keep people alive just to collect a freaking check, like a Social Security check or a disability check or a retirement check, fuck you and the horse you rode in on. Because there's a lot of those people too. They keep grandma, grandpa, or mom alive unnecessarily and go through these great lengths to keep them alive and have them suffer for years so they can cash those freaking checks. Pieces of shit that I think should be put to death. Anyway, I hope you liked the subject today. Hey man, I'm all about controversy and conversation, so leave some comments for me below, like and subscribe. Any topics you guys want me to discuss on, any crazy stories you want me to tell, hey,